Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural. Magic. Ghosts. UFOs. Bigfoot. Extraterrestrial. Psychic energy.
The calling.
And hello, everyone. It is I, Kim Juarez, as Jerry would say. And we don't have Jerry with us today, unfortunately. He's probably in the Bahamas right now, I'm hoping. But we do have Willow. Hi, Willow. How are you?
Hello, Kimberly. I am wonderful today.
That is great. So how's everything over there? I could see you're growing all your little goodies. It looks amazing, actually, I have to say.
It is warm again.
Oh.
We're in the 60s again this week. And I think our spring is starting to sprung.
Sprung.
You know, it's really nice. We're getting down into the 50s. I think in the next few days, maybe into the upper 40s, but not bad. So at night,
Right.
I'm moving a lot of plants out. I actually got flowers already on some of the stuff I planted. I'm like, whoa, you're early.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your little seedlings out there, like you're just growing away. Let me tell you, it looks pretty amazing.
Thanks.
It really
I'm
does.
gonna now I got to have a plant sale because I grew too many.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I need 69 tomatoes.
That's great. 69 tomato plants. That's a lot of tomatoes.
I know. I need like 15 for my entire garden. And I'm like, oh, I may have overdone it a bit again. I do it every year.
That's so funny. So tonight we are going to talk about Paranormal Babble. So I guess it's just our choice of what we want to talk about. So if the audience wants to, want to know about something, they're more than welcome to put that on the chat, and we'll keep an eye out and we can talk about it. But Willow has a subject, right, Willow?
I do.
That's awesome.
I do. I have been thinking about this for a while, and it's the alien agenda.
I don't know what type of agenda they're going to have, but this sounds great.
Now, I mean, honestly, the government says that they've got ill intent. They want to control us, take over the planet. It's all danger, Will Robinson kind of stuff,
see that. I do see a lot of that right now. They're talking about it like off the I guess especially right now. Yeah.
It's crazy. But on the other side, which is more my side and how I've interacted with ETs, is it's more of they want us to raise our level of vibration spiritually so that we can start to be, instead of savage beasts, be more enlightened beings that they can interact with.
So do you believe that they do that high vibration with us and that they can give us that? Because people even believe that they're like the angels and angels and even God spiritual and stuff. They believe that's part of them as well.
Oh, yeah.
So do you believe in all that? I mean,
I do, mainly because of the interactions that I've had with them when they have, appeared in my meditations, and they always have shown up, and I've lost time during times of higher spiritual vibration. I was in the middle of a Reiki circle. I was doing a spiritual ritual. It's always those kinds of places or events that are going on when I've had my interactions and my experiences. Even out in Jackson Square, when I've had experiences, I was out there raising my vibration to help other people. And it's kind of like they know those people who are trying to help others and helping humanity, and their consciousness, compared to the warmongers, compared to those people who are just, let's just shoot missiles into the sky and wipe them all out. I mean, we have damaged enough of them. Right. And yet if they really wanted to take us out, they would have done it already. That's my opinion.
Yes, I believe that.
They don't want to take us out. I don't think that's it. I think they want us to learn. I think they put us here to evolve, and I think that's what we need to do.
Right. And
anyway.
I kind of believe that they're in a different dimension as well, because like maybe God and the spirituals are more in a different dimension, and then there's some other types of species that are in a different, you know what I mean, goes down, down.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the ancient alien aspect, I mean, some of the historic things that they have in writing, I mean, it makes more sense that it would have been an extraterrestrial interaction than more of an angel, let's say, interaction in some of those instances.
Yeah. If people have a lot of experiences like that. They think it's alien. They either think it's alien and then angel, and then or angel and then or some type of alien.
Yeah.
So so I've heard of a lot of experiences people have like that. I've had an experience when I was very young, and I actually felt like I was abducted, and or did I say that right? Because
abducted,
yeah, that too. Anyways. But I honestly had that experience, and this is when I was a lot younger. I was probably about 16 years old, and I was in a state, like a paralyzed state, those when you're sleeping and then you go into a paralyzation and you're just stuck and you can't move. Well, that's where I was at, and I can see, I'm visioning. I'm sure that's where that psychic ability comes in, and I could see these aliens over me. And just like right over me there, and of course there were the grays. That's how I saw them. Yeah. And and this wasn't a dream, because I could feel what they were doing to me. I could literally feel this like dagger type thing, needle type thing going into my neck, and I was like paralyzed. It was horrible, and I could feel the cold slate of the table I was on. I could hear this. I mean, it was horrifying. It was the worst thing I've ever gone through in my life. Yeah. So that's actually the first one. And then I had a second experience, which I don't tell very many people. But I've had that. And I've also, later on, my daughter experienced, at the same time I seen it, I think it was a year before she was born, I saw the numbers 333, and that's another good question I could ask you, Willow, what you think about that. So, and that could be that whole angel thing and alien thing, you know what I mean? But apparently I saw the numbers 333 when I woke up. I climbed out of bed. I looked up in the sky, and I see it looked like a flying saucer, like a glowing fly, and it hovered. It just hovered, and you could see that it was on because you could see the light movement around it.
Right, yeah.
But I was awake. I was fully on awake, and it felt like time did not move. That's what it felt like. Like 333 stayed there forever. So I was looking back at the clock, looking at that, looking at the ship or whatever it was that I saw. And I just don't know. And years later, I found out that people were reporting the same time I saw it. Then my daughter, a year, like I say, she was 5 years old. She had an experience where she said that she saw the grays looking in the window. But she was 5 years old. She never even knew what to call them. Isn't that weird? So she was 5. She's not going to know anything about aliens. I've never, you don't show your kids about aliens, and to me, that was just crazy. So there's some experiences, I'll have to admit. So what do you think about the 333 and 2, the numbers?
Seeing that, like looking at the clock, like every single time over the last week and a half, I've been having that. Yeah. Every time I'd look at the clock, it's 11:11. It's 1:11. It's 2:22. It's 3:33. It's 4:44. If there was if there was a 6:66, I'd probably see it, right?
Right.
And it's like, what the heck is going on? And then I started to meditate on it because I really wanted to know, well, what are you trying to tell me? Because this is obviously a message and I keep seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what came up was, if you see like that series constantly, there's something on the horizon for you, and it's your guides, whether it's the higher beings, whether it's, you know, the higher beings to me are alien beings, or if it's your spirit guides. But it's like they're trying to make you aware of what's coming so that you're more prepared. And let me tell you, it's been really crazy because ever since I started seeing the numbers, even my clients have been more open, more higher spiritual, very giving, and just different. You know, it's like ever since those numbers started coming. And I really feel like it's maybe taking my business to the next level. I don't know. You know, there's going to be more people I can help. But yeah, that's what it's, you know, I've done my research. That's what it was all about. You know, something major is coming your way, basically. That's good.
Right. And I think I looked it up to see about the 333 because there is a movie out there. So that's why I think it's related in a sense, because there's a movie out there with Julianne Moore about how it's a true story up in Oregon where this lady got abducted. Or no, not her. It was her daughter that got abducted. And the lady woke up to 333. Oh. And I thought that was so unusual that it improvised of how she woke up to this number 333. So when I looked it up, I'm hoping it was like, it said something about the angels protecting.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and so I figured, okay, maybe that's what the angels were trying to tell me, that I was being protected, you know? Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, you mentioned the Greys, but there's, you know, so many races of aliens, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just got lucky with the Greys, and that's not really, really lucky.
Yeah, but, that isn't what I hear.
Yeah. The ones that I have interacted with was very interesting because one time I saw 3 or 4 different races together working. Oh, yeah, they were working to heal someone. Okay. So that was a very interesting interaction that I had. Literally taken on a ship. They weren't hurting the person. The person was sick and they were healing the person. And they were showing me what they really were doing. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and that they wanted me to know that they weren't there to harm me or to harm them. They are trying to help. It was like the beings on this planet that are the healers, that are the people that they need to help wake up the rest of humanity, basically.
Oh, okay.
They're healing them so that they can help spread that energy, the positive energies. It's kind of like when they go and they've been seen around like missile silos and stuff and shut them all down, right?
Right.
But yet the soldiers that were guarding them did not feel like they were doing that as an act of war, but more like, no, we just need you to not do this. We can intercept quite a bit of them, but you shouldn't be, you know, trying to blow up the planet.
Yeah, that's what Steve B says. I think they've been messing with our missiles in the past too. Wait, so was there a question before that? Let's see. I don't know if there was a question before that, but yeah.
No, I don't see anything else.
So anyway, yeah, I find it very interesting how you're saying the different types of aliens. Mm-hmm. I truly believe like the white complected ones that look almost human-like, you know, like us. They're very light, very white, like complexion, and their lips are very like pink and red, and their eyes are like bluish, kind of bluish with gray. I feel like, and I even see them, which is interesting to me. I see them in the people, but I don't think people realize that they're there, and I see them. Yeah. Which, you know, it's so odd because I know what that is. You know what I mean? I really know.
Exactly.
And it doesn't creep me out, but it's like, it's interesting when I see them like that, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And everybody else passes them by, and I'm like, oh, I think I know who I think I know
Yep.
who they are. So I think that's interesting. And I wonder if that, now I wonder if I do have some, whatever they've done, do I have something that they're allowing me to see so much? And this is another interesting thing. And when I went to a venue, and one of the ladies, she's very popular. She's from MUFON, which is they do the researching
Mhm.
of uh, of the aliens and UFOs and everything like that. So I talked to her about it, about this whole 333 and how I saw them, how I got the experience, had this experience with them. And she says that they were probably going to use me to, I don't know how to even to say this, but
As a breeder?
correct. So
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
that's exactly what she told me because of the way I experienced it.
Yeah.
And she says she thinks that's what they did. Now, mind you, later I find out my sister and my mother also had experiences.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and it's been said they kind of go to families, family groups for some
That's
reason. And Steve B, he says tall whites near Vegas. And yeah, the tall whites.
Mhm.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Even their hair is white.
White,
It's kind
yeah.
of white and like. So I wonder if
Almost iridescent white. You can almost see
correct.
through it. Mhm.
Yeah, correct. Like their skin. Their skin is very light
Yes.
as well. So yeah, I just find that very interesting. I don't know if anybody else experiences that, but I just know like it just we even have somebody that we know that looks just like that. And
Oh, wow.
it's very, yeah. So I don't know. So who's to say,
Right.
I think
Well,
it's
it was funny because the reason I wanted to bring this topic up is because I was looking at my Facebook memories yesterday,
uh-huh.
and it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I guess, yeah, it was 2018, that I was sitting in Jackson Square, and my memory was saying that it was very interesting to have the family of aliens come over to my table tonight.
Oh.
And literally and it was so funny because my friend was sitting there next to me, set up doing readings as well. That's what we do out in Jackson Square. We do readings around Jackson Square in the French Quarter. And she's sitting there watching, and she knew about aliens too. I mean, we'd been talking a lot about, we were actually living together as roommates at the time, and we were discussing the different races of aliens and things like that. And she watched as these four people walked up to my table, and I may have talked about this before, but it was just so interesting because there were two males that were probably over 7 foot tall, very long arms, very thin. They looked nearly like identical twins, but one was dressed male, and the other, being in New Orleans, they were cross-dressing, but not doing it very well.
Oh, really?
It was like, sweetheart, let me help you. I was sad. Let me help you. And then there were two females who were shorter, and they looked alike.
Oh, really?
And they were thicker, and like their hair was cut the same. Both wore glasses. The two males wore glasses. I think it was to hide their eyes.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was kind of like, that was their cloaking device on their eyes, so you couldn't see their eyes. But it was so weird because I'm sitting here, and I thought I was having an outward conversation. They asked me, "What are you doing here? What do you do here?" What do you do here?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling them, I don't know why I told them that, but I said, "I'm here to help the human race wake up."
Oh, really?
That's what I said. And they kind of gathered together, and they looked at me. I heard them say, "Thank you."
Mm-hmm.
And then they just kind of floated off on down the street.
Yeah.
And my friend comes over to me. She goes, "Those were aliens." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And she goes, "What did they say?" And I said, "Well, didn't you hear them?" She goes, "You didn't open your mouth. You were having a telepathic communication with these beings." I'm like, "Oh." That's probably why I was, the words that came out were just so weird,
Yeah.
helping humanity wake up. I'm like, where did that come from?
That I think is interesting.
And they're not the first group. I mean, there's been others,
Right.
and then I've had them walk up to me and they've been so sweet. It's like the one came over, she was so lost. I think she might have been hybrid, but she walked over. She didn't even have a human voice. She sounded almost like a robot. I swear. But she didn't have the trachea thing. She was a young woman.
Yeah.
Dressed androgynously, short blonde hair. Almost looked elf-like, pixie-like. That's what I picked up, that energy from her. And she came to my table and she says to me, she goes, "You are the one that is to tell me where I go next on my journey."
Oh, really?
I'm like, oh, great. Here goes another one.
Oh,
and
that
I'm
is
like,
so funny.
have a seat. And it was very weird conversation. She said she had left New Mexico because it was too busy. They lived in the middle of nowhere. But they left their home in New Mexico because it was too busy.
So there was others with her?
No, her partner was back in their RV where she was waiting for her. And I said to her, I said, "Too busy, like in too many ships around?" She goes, "Yes."
That is so interesting.
I'm like, okay, this is really cool. I'm like enjoying this interaction with this person. And and this is what's really weird. Out in Jackson Square, we don't get a whole lot of money. Okay. People give us a donation, generally maybe a 20, and walk off, right? And this person, she hands me $100 bill. I expected she wanted change. She goes, "I hope this is enough. This is all they gave me for you."
What?
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Yes,
oh my gosh.
Thank you very much. And then she goes, "May I give you a hug?" And I said, "Of course." And let me tell you, it was like hugging an angel. The energy vibration coming from this person or this being was so high that I needed to go and eat something to ground myself after the hug.
Really?
It was intense. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I bet.
So the interactions, there's a lot of them on the planet.
Yeah.
They say, are they coming? I'm like, "No, sweetheart, they're all here." We interact with them without even knowing it a lot of times.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another thing I want to talk about. So, I guess I'm coming up with all these things. What about those lights? Lately, I've been seeing like people filming a lot of different lights. Like, what do you think that is, Willow? I know it has to be UFO-like. Some move, some will take off really fast, and then you could see them like in the air, and some will jet from side to side, side to side. And then they'll come back around, and then they hover. Yeah. Either they're white or they're red-like, maybe, I want to say. But there were so many films about that right now, and it's all over the country. Yeah. So what is that? What do you think that is?
Okay. Now, number one, we're getting into the alien agenda again. Okay. So as the government wants us to believe, they're dangerous, they're a threat to our national security, to our airspace. I think some of that, not all of it, but some of it could be our own government doing something, because they have reverse engineering. Right. And, they could have created something because they want us to see more of a presence of them so that they can make us actually believe there is an agenda for them to come down here and take us over or harm us. But on the other hand, if we look at like the work that Dr. Stephen Greer is doing with his CE5 protocol that I now have, that I am part of, it is human, what do they call it? Human action to interact with them. It's human-initiated interaction. And so he and his groups for many years have been able to raise our vibrations through meditation and sending out that thought, please come and visit us.
Mhm.
And they have taken photos and video of these interdimensional beings of light. They're light beings, and they will show up. Some will be a ship, some will be lights in the sky, and they will interact with them with laser lights and all kinds of stuff. So, and it's interesting because a lot of times when they've been interacting with them, all of a sudden here you see the military helicopters coming.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't interact with them. Sorry, we do on a daily basis, you know.
Right.
But so I think that, yeah, I think if we just would raise our vibration and interact with them on more of a higher being level, knowing that they're trying to enlighten us. They're trying to allow us to learn that we don't have to be savage. We don't have to want war, that we could live in peace and harmony. We're all connected. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? We're all connected. So I think it's very important that to understand we're also connected with them. You know, it's like there is this beautiful, you know, spiritual other dimension, and we're all connected to it. So, you know, I think we just have to stop worrying that they're going to come and eat us. They're not.
Right. So this is another thought. Okay, so I'm going to talk, and I wanted to see if this was related. I don't know if you've ever know what the Rourke is. Have you ever seen the creature that is white like human, but he kind of crawls on all fours? People show them all. They've been seeing them everywhere now. In garages, hiding in garages, on the outside. Do you think that's alien? Do you think that's a mix of a some type of species that was rejected of some sort?
You know,
because their teeth are like incredibly scary, and their faces are like, the skin looks almost like human, like white, all white. Yeah. They're very white looking, very lengthy, very tall like, and their head is super alien round like. So
I'm getting a message that they are actually something that was created in a lab.
Oh, really?
The government.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I mean,
because they've got aliens too. You know, they're probably doing their own genetic experiments. And what's to say something didn't escape?
Right. Absolutely. That to me, because I mean, people are actually filming these creatures.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not even nice. Like, they come after and they make the weirdest sounds.
Yes.
And I was like, are these aliens? Maybe this is some type of a reject of some type. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of these creatures that are actually, alien-like. Could it, you know what I mean?
Okay, but let's think about that alien agenda for what the government is saying. If they want us to believe that they are dangerous and they're here to harm us, wouldn't that be a great example of what they're talking about, right?
Correct.
So that's what I'm picking up, that it's not just an alien race, because I don't think that it has enough intelligence that it would fly or come in an interdimensional way. Right. It's almost like it was created on this planet.
Right. Yeah, I find that interesting, because I just think that, I mean, and you're right, maybe because they are in the deserts, they're in by homes that are isolated in a sense, and they hide, and I'm sure they're out there, doing whatever they can do to survive, and I just think it's crazy that these things look so horrifying. I mean, I don't know what I'd do if I saw something like that, if I'd be Bigfoot, or, so all of a sudden this thing comes out. Well, and not too long. I'm sorry, guys. We have to go on break. We'll be right back.
UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids.
All of this on the call. Just think if you listen to the words of
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They are even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mac Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mac Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
And we're back. Well, we've been having a great conversation, but we also want to remind you that here on Para-X Radio Network, they have so many great shows every night. So you don't want to miss it. You know, on Tuesday nights, you can watch The Gathering with Stephanie and Heidi. And what's the other one? Odyssey Files with Mike. Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, Odyssey Files is no longer, but there's other great shows. There's lots of great shows. They go all week long, so just listen up to Para-X. You'll find them on their website. So, yeah, so we were talking about different things with alien-like, and I was talking about the rake. I think it's called the rake.
The rake.
Something. Yes.
The rake. Uh-huh.
And these are creatures that are long and lengthy, and their teeth look like the devil of some sort. Their faces are like alien looking. Their eyes are really, really blackened. Yeah. And I just find it super interesting about that. And I think we have a question. Willow, want to say what that is?
Actually, Steve B was just talking about the tall whites near Vegas and that they live 800 years. And he says they call us their pets.
That sounds like...
It makes sense. In a way. I had just watched that documentary about that man who was in the military, and he was a meteorologist, I guess, in the military, and he was out in the Vegas desert, in Nevada desert, and that's where he met the tall whites. And so it was a great documentary, so you should look that up because it's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and he was a young man when he's had that interaction with them.
Well, I think it's fascinating. The fact is that I guess we're talking about aliens, for this to show, because I think it's fascinating that now our government, like the people who have seen them, like let's say the Air Force men, that are up in the planes or on their ships or whatever, they've been noticing these UFOs that are hovering next to them, and you find great pictures, some great pictures. I think it's fascinating that they're showing that and admitting to the fact that they think they saw something, UFO like, So I think it's really cool, really, really cool.
Well, yeah, and they've been admitting it. You've had whistleblowers for decades. Right. Since the 40s, there have been whistleblowers. But the thing is, finally, like all of a sudden, we've already seen the video. Now the government's going to acknowledge, oh, yeah, but they're a threat. It's like, wait a minute. You've known, we've known. Don't pull the wool over our eyes anymore. We know what's going on. And so, I have to say, if you have not watched Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind on Prime yet, That's the Dr. Stephen Greer documentary. You need to watch it. Oh my God.
Really? We'll
It
have to.
blew my
I'll have to
mind.
watch it.
It blew
I
my
have
mind.
to watch it. I remember too. There was this guy. God, he's on Ancient Aliens as well, and he said that he went to go see this government experiment thing where they saw this it was fenced in, and it was up in, I think it was up in Arizona, the Arizona desert, and it was completely fenced in, and he found it interesting because somebody who had a drone kind of hovered over and then showed it to him, and he said, why are these people, like, they were in hospital gowns, and he said that he found it interesting because they looked like they were zombie-like type, and I was like, now you're talking about experimenting. Could it have been the government doing these experiments on these people? And when they went up to the door, they tried to knock on the door and stuff. And I guess there was a window, and they said, "Oh, we just want to know what's going on over here. We see that there's people back here." And he goes, well, "Oh, you guys, if you guys don't get off this land right now," he goes, "I'm going to call the military police. This is military facility. You're not allowed here." So what were they hiding? I mean, who were those patients? You know what I mean?
That's just it. Yeah, I think that the government's got if anything, I think the government is what's really, being fake aliens. I know that they've abducted people and tried to make you think they were aliens when it wasn't. And it's really sad because, I don't understand why they're doing it, but even Ronald Reagan, he did in a speech that if there could be one universal threat to the planet, how that would bring everyone together.
Wow.
And so, way back then, we're talking way back.
Right.
They've been doing that. And it's almost like, what, have they been planning this all along? And that's why it's interesting, because in the documentary of the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, this was before the election was finished. This was before we knew who had won.
Right.
And it was already predicted who won and why. That's why you need to watch the show, the documentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
It's just weird. Yeah. I was just like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. I really do. Just see. I mean, come on, you got to believe that there's other. It's in the Bible that there's other alien and then it's carved. In all your what do you call them? The
hieroglyphs and the cave drawings and the petroglyphs. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and you could see that that these are different people. I mean, you could only tell, and they're trying to tell the story, of what they seen, and I think it's great and fascinating, about with all that, anyways, so I think. So I find it very interesting that he says maybe they're doing experimenting on people. He wasn't sure, but again, they chased him away, and of course they did bring the military in and ask what they were doing up there, and that they needed to leave and all this stuff. So I think he put a documentary on Ancient Aliens. I just feel like, that to me is
a little fishy. We're just going to say it's a little fishy.
Yeah, especially when it's military or government. They did say it was military, so who's to say? So Steve B says, has anyone remote view aliens?
I can't really say I remote viewed them. They actually took me in the middle of a healing circle, so I don't know. But they've showed me They've showed me the planet, and they've showed me the ship.
Okay.
So. But I don't think I was remote viewing. That wasn't my intention.
I didn't get the high treatment. I got more of the, let's stick a big long needle in your neck. That's what I got.
I'm glad I didn't get that. They showed me symbols I was supposed to share with the planet. They showed me the planet that they're from, And she told me I was from there. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Maybe I'm one of your one of your kids.
That's what I was wondering. I wonder if that's what, each of us are probably from these alien, I just think that's crazy and amazing because, like I said, I didn't get no high-end treatment. I was like propped,
Yeah. So. Well, at least it wasn't the anal probe. It could have been worse.
That's bad. Super bad.
Really but anyway, did you ever see that South Park episode with Cartman? No. Oh my gosh! And the satellite dish comes out of his butt. It's not good.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I don't want that treatment. No, they can keep that.
Now, do you think, Willow? Do you think the Greys are mischievous in the sense of their species?
I'm not going to say that they are mischievous. What I think they are a bunch of drones, and I think that they're literally put here for like work. It's like they're the worker drones. They're the ones that you need to go and you need to pick up this person and you're going to do these experiments on them and then you're going to send them back, or you're going to come over here and do the cattle mutilations. And then, it's kind of like they're the worker drones. That's how I see it. I know that I think that they have, this sounds stupid, like a leader. I think that there is a higher being that is telling them what to do. Okay.
I kind of think that too, in a sense, because then they're the ones that do the crazy stuff, because that's, people always see them, and then they say, we got abducted and blah, blah, blah by the Greys. It really scared me. But when my daughter said she saw them, that scared me because she's so little, 5 years old little girl, So now I'm thinking, God, did they, could they have, did she have any nightmares? Did they do the same thing they did to me, like they did to me?
Right.
I was just older, Yeah. So I don't know, like they said that, maybe it's family oriented. They want the same family members or something.
The genetics. That. I think it is the genetics. I do. You have similar DNA, of course, to all of your family members, and they're going. And it sounds like it's females that they are being, interacting with. And so, if that's the case, are they, extracting eggs to do hybrid, things. And I know there's a lot of hybrids. Oh
yeah, definitely.
And the weird thing is with those that look so human, I think they're almost like sleepers. They don't know they're hybrids some of the times.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I don't think they know it, or they, it's some may.
So why do you think
some may not?
Why do you think that they would be here? Like, what would be their mission if they don't know?
To learn more about humanity and how to be human. I think in some of the races may be us from the future.
Okay.
So, and I think they lost their humanity. They don't understand. They raise their consciousness to a level so that they don't have passion. They don't have those intimate connections with other people.
They sound like the Manilians. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That could be true because they don't. They're all into the technology, and some of these kids, they don't even interact with their families. I mean, it could be. That could be, so let's think about it.
Yeah. But then talking about the children, I am seeing more star children being born. That is fascinating to me.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. And they're a special type of breed, too.
They very are.
Special.
And, like, I know that a friend of mine on Facebook, I've been following him since his daughter was born. Okay. And he even calls her his star child. And I'm like, yeah.
So totally. what would that be? Like, what would they act like? What would they be like? You know what I mean? Like, how would they?
They're much more advanced physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I've met them at different ages, over the years. But what I have found is they walk at a very early age.
Okay.
They speak at a very early age. They learn to write and read at very early ages some people go, oh, they're an old soul. And I'm like, yeah, but they've had a little extra help.
Right.
They've got extra help.
Exactly. I kind of see that.
I've had a 6-year-old little boy sit down for a reading, and I don't like to read for children. And his father goes, oh, no, you will enjoy reading for him. I'm like, okay. So I did this reading, and I only looked at the next 6 months, and it was all these really high spiritual cards that had come up from the deck, and I'm like, that's very interesting. And I just kept feeling this energy, like, this child is here for a real purpose. Right. And I even said to him, I really feel like you are an old soul. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yes, ma'am, I am. It's like he knew.
Right.
And so at the end of the reading, I always ask, is there any questions that you may have? Generally, I'll go out, look at the next 12 months for you on a certain subject. I'm like, this kid's little, he's only 6. And he looks at me and he goes, am I doing the right things on my spiritual path? He's 6. Wow. I'm like, wow. Yep, your dad was right. I'm enjoying reading for you. But everything he asked was spiritual questions.
Wow.
Not, is my little league team going to win? I mean, most kids would ask.
Right.
No, he was asking high spiritual questions.
They're different. They're more like, I would say more like mellow, and they are like old souls. Like if you look in their eyes, they feel like, or they project that nice feeling about them, So
exactly.
I kind of see that. I kind of really see that. That's interesting. We also have another question from Steve B. It says, do you think aliens have strong shields?
I would say they do when they need them.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Because when I've interacted with them, there were no shields.
Right.
So they will take down the shields when they are interacting at a higher spiritual level.
Okay.
But their shields are going to be up if they're at a military facility.
Right.
Because they don't want to get blown up or shot. And they can be killed. It's not like they're indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
They're just different anatomy.
So in Area 51, do you believe that those are aliens that the government has locked up?
I don't think they're
at bodies.
I don't think they're there anymore. I think they have moved them.
Okay.
But yes, I know they have done autopsies. I know they have. They've had too many of them. There was one and I can't remember what they called them. There was actually 2 that were alive that have been working with them, interacting with the government. And the man that was working with one of them actually came forward and was discussing that. So that was very interesting. That they were helping them. Mm-hmm. Some were helping them with reverse engineering kind of stuff like that, but also learning how to telepathically communicate and things like that, because that is something that by now the human race probably should be able to do a little bit easier.
Right.
But unfortunately we can't, I've worked really hard to if I need something, if I really needed something first, if I need somebody to do something, I need you to move forward, or I need you to move to the side. I don't really say anything like, excuse me. I just think it, and I'll see somebody move their cart in the grocery store.
Yeah, I've done that. I know exactly what you're saying.
It's like it's like throwing our thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And that energy, could you just move to the side, please, so I can get by to get the sugar, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I've had that. I've stood in a Subway sandwich shop at one point, and the man I was with had ordered a foot-long tuna salad sandwich because that's what we could afford.
Mm-hmm.
But I really had the hankering for a smoked turkey sandwich with all the fixings. And I'm thinking of all the things I want on it. And the man behind the counter, without me opening my mouth, started making my sandwich.
Really?
Completely down to everything I wanted on it. And
I believe it.
And the guy that was with me, he goes, no, that's not what I ordered. And the man looks at him, but she told me what to put on the sandwich. I looked at this guy, I'm like, did I open my mouth? He goes, no, but you probably did that.
Yeah.
Because I did.
That's
I didn't do it on purpose, but I didn't do it on purpose. It was really hilarious, but I didn't do it on purpose.
And he probably heard you, like if you
talking to
voiced it. Yeah.
Like
if you were talking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he said. He goes, she said it loud and clear exactly what she wanted on her sandwich.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. I feel like they can do that. And us humans should have already know how to do things telepathically.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah. So anyways, I think that's really cool. Alien stuff is like one of the, I love looking in the sky. I love looking at different things. Now here in California, not California, what am I saying? Here in Minnesota, I wish. Here in Minnesota, now there was it was at a Walmart, mind you, and I think it was in Bloomington, I want to say, somewhere in Bloomington, up in that way in the cities. Apparently there was a hovering spaceship, and it was foggy, like a foggy day, and I think it was foggy and you couldn't really see everything, but somebody filmed it, filmed this hovering over Walmart. And I'm like thinking, oh yeah, so the aliens are shopping at Walmart. I don't know. I guess everybody does, right? But
well, they probably had somebody in there taking some pictures of the Walmart shoppers, for fun. Right?
Taking them from the back alleys or something. But I just think it was interesting. And this man had asked me, if you guys ever go, just, please let me know, because I guess people have reported more ships like that, more ships that way. And I know that even Jerry has talked about where I think they've even seen them in Rochester. I mean, what about you, Willow, like on your side of town? Do they report a lot of them, or?
Around here, I have not heard about that, which is very interesting. Other than my interactions with the beings, I haven't seen the ships. And I haven't heard of people talking about the ships, which I find interesting. It's like, what, you're using your cloaking devices so well here? Or you're just popping in? Maybe you're just materializing. Maybe they're just popping in from another dimension. Right. Because it's very interesting. Because, when I lived in Arizona, it was like a light show nearly every night.
Oh, Arizona is off the charts especially with those, all those multiple,
the Phoenix lights and stuff?
Yeah, the Phoenix lights. I mean, I was there. I could see some of them. I saw 3 at one time, and they're just different, and people report them all the time there in Arizona. Yeah. And I kind of would believe, because, Arizona's a high desert and, it's got a lot of creatures. So people aren't going to be in the deserts at night. Of course not.
Right. I mean, I at one point owned 40 acres out in the middle of nowhere up by the Grand Canyon in Peach Springs. Oh, so we would camp at night out there, and we would just put our lawn chairs out and watch the light shows because they were all night. Every night we were there. Yeah, it was awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, so we were out there too, and we were out and now I can't even say in the mountain, Suspicious Mountain, where the old town, the old town. It's all like old, back in the day, saloon and everything. Yeah. But they report all the time of these lights, these lights and aliens and stuff like that. And they say all you have to do is look to the sky and you'll see there's no doubt you will see up in those mountains and those hills. So it's pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yep.
It is. So anyway, so we got like 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. That was a good topic. I love it.
Steve B says, I wonder if aliens have comic books about us.
Oh, right? I mean, I see a lot of memes and stuff like that about aliens. They probably do. They're probably like, oh, yeah, humans are ridiculous. Because they're more intelligent. More and more intelligent.
Have you seen some of the memes? It's like, oh, my God, did you see what they did to that pumpkin? Now look what they're doing to the turkey.
Right.
Okay. It's really funny, right? And like, yeah, we do seem like a very hostile kind of species. We just do.
We do. So anyways, what do you want to talk about for another few minutes, Willow?
Well, gee, we don't have but about 4, right? I don't know. Well, gee.
Well, I was on an investigation last week, and it was pretty interesting.
Oh, cool.
And we should talk about, one day, we should talk about residual and intelligent. And there's a little thing, I wanted to get to that today, but the alien thing was off the chart, so I really like the alien stuff. So anyway,
that's pretty good.
now I'm thinking about all these crazy things now about aliens. It's crazy now. But so I want to talk about that, about we got some stick figures. The one stick figure that we got off the SLS was much bigger than the other one, and it looked like the little one was coming through the window of the house, and it was super interesting. And then of course they contacted the guy who used to live there and said, "Oh, you guys haven't seen the Shadow Man yet, or you guys haven't seen this yet?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So that's in another part of that area. So I can't wait to get to there. So yeah, so I still have to do a lot of the footage and stuff like that. I just find it was very interesting, even though it was in the winter and it was so cold. Anyways, Steve, I'm going to say this real quick. He says, Steve, the superheroes of the superheroes. Yeah, exactly. So I just think it's interesting about this case. I'm hoping I get to see that Shadow Man. I don't know. But I just find it's interesting because the guy said that he didn't want to tell anybody back then because he didn't think anybody would believe him. And I felt really sad because back then you didn't talk about stuff. Right. And they were high-end Catholic, like really Catholic people.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I just found it interesting and very sad that he said that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I had one of my clients send me a surveillance video from one of her shops, and it was a full-body apparition on Sunday.
Oh, really?
It was awesome. It was morphing and everything, too. That's for another time.
Yeah, that's for another time. So, everybody, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And the chat, thank you so much. I want to thank Sarge and, of course, Para X Radio. And our military, I hope you guys are listening. I hope you guys be safe. Thank you, Willow. And we'll see Jerry next week. Good night.
Bye.